broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community, make sure y'all go check out Meat Cat Body by Jeremy Campbell.
Good evening, and it's the Lions Fan Cave Chat. I have two of my guys with me tonight. I sent the invite out to others, but they can't be here, so we'll roll as is. How you doing tonight, Will?
Good, drinking that Gatorade. That's Lions Blue. My favorite flavor, Glacier Freeze.
Glacier Freeze, Frost. Yeah. Strilla,
And
how are
it's
you?
Lions Blue.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, I don't have a Lions Blue Gatorade, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah, that's all right. I got my fluorescent green. I'm wearing Lions Blue today too, gents. Hey, way to rep in Australia.
We're going to get her.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chad Datima. He says, greetings all. And James says, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. At my age, not necessarily in that order.
I know that's right, James.
Yeah, for me, it's actually directly reversed. It's usually rock and roll, then drugs, then maybe some sex.
And me.
Maybe.
Got my two-bore Mustangish Lions logo hat on. Megan,
That's
only
awesome.
because the Hawks jerseys are in the laundry basket. Hey, mine are hanging over there, but I decided just for something that said Detroit football.
I don't have any Lions gear. Yeah, he's drinking the Green
No.
Bay tears.
Mountain Dew is way brighter than Green Bay, but it is about the color of their tears. Yeah.
It is. It is their tears.
Henry saying bear down.
Go
I don't
Bear
Bears.
down. Okay.
Go Bears.
It's a Super Bowl.
I had to.
But at the same time, you know what? Other than Bears fans, the only time I hear bear down is at hunting camp.
Bear down.
Chiefs Burgess plus one. I just does that count?
That's,
Yes.
that would work. That would work. That would definitely work. I will count it.
I didn't get to add it because it wasn't out yet, but about an hour ago, PFF released their wide receiver cores in the NFL. And lo and behold, who ranked 7th overall in the NFL?
The Lions.
Detroit.
Yep. Sixth is Minnesota Vikings, and 5th is the Bears. So 3 teams in the North in the top 10. And then, lo and behold, you have to go to the next page to see it. But at 14 is Green Bay.
Perfect.
I heard that. Don't laugh. Don't make me laugh at them. They're all going to laugh at you.
Well, I mean,
Teehee.
I feel pretty good about that list too, because that's pretty that list is pretty good. I wouldn't put Detroit way up there, and Chicago does have a good. I mean, these are things that are good on paper anyway. I mean, you remember you got. I mean, the Chicago's weapons are already established except for the rookie.
And
Minnesota's receivers are really good too. So I mean, I don't have a problem where we're at.
And Will's buddy Zach comes in and says, "Hey, Jeremy and Will, and this is Bistrilla. Had Amon Ra Laporta count a ton just by themselves at TEs are in that. They said wide receiver core. So it didn't say receiving cores. It said wide receiver core specifically. So
But
Laporta and
then,
Wright are not included
then
in
you
that.
got, but you
it,
got to remember too, the Vikings got T.J. Hawkinson. I mean that's an offense built for him. So
yeah,
Right.
and
you can include him on that really for the Vikings.
and the Bears, it's on paper, yes, for now. But the problem is with the
Yeah.
problem I have with the Bears receiving core is Keenan Allen is injury prone, and then God, who else did they get besides DJ Moore, Keenan Allen? They got
Roma,
And
someone
they
else
got
in
the
the
rookie.
offseason.
Roma
Oh
Dunze.
yeah, yeah. So
Yep.
Keenan Allen's a
Good
question
wide
mark for me.
receiver room, Will. You can poo-poo Keenan Allen all you want, but that guy, even though he's injured, somehow manages to get 1,000 yards almost every year.
That is true. That is true.
So he's a solid wide receiver when he's on the field. I
Hmm.
am not gonna poo-poo it. It's an
No, I
established,
agree.
good contested catch guy. They got a nice diversity there. DJ Moore and Rome with speed. Rome is more a little better of a route runner, which is why he's in the slot. Uh, DJ Moore is that guy that can run and do a contested catch. And then they got Keenan Allen, a guy who can run somewhat and contested catch a lot.
True, true. I agree.
So, and Roma Dunes in college was able to do contested catches. It's whether or not he's able to do it in the NFL because there's a big jump there from the NFL from the college ranks. So
Who
I'm
was
not going to.
number one?
Number one was San Francisco.
Okay, I can see that.
I got a question for all three of you, if I could. How many think Khalif takes most of Josh's looks despite the very different skill set? Believe it or not, they're leaning towards DPJ to be that wide receiver 3 right now, from what I've heard out of camp. But nothing's set in stone, of course, because you still got training camp to go in preseason. So
I agree.
right now, it's looking like it's DPJ, Raymond, and then Green.
We don't have a wide receiver. We don't have a wide receiver 1, 2. We don't have a traditional wide receiver set. We have because Amon can play all 3 sets
Right.
basically,
He
and
plays
Khalif
flex flag and
can play 2 of those too. He's been wide receiver 2 in a nickel. I mean in a slot 2. And DPJ, I wouldn't put him as no. I wouldn't put him as a slot. Too big for that. He's too big for a slot. Nope. He ain't fast enough. So he needs to. Well, he's fast enough, but he can't be a slot. I leave that to Khalif and Amon and let them work it out. How Ben Johnson goes through the offense. I would strictly keep Peoples Jones, a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2, depending on how the offense is set up. I would never put him a slot. He's too tall for that. You got to have small guys in the slot so they can be
Yeah,
silent and deadly. So
they made Josh Reynolds a slot a lot, and he's big. He was bigger than both of them.
yeah, I mean, not really. I don't. I really never saw him playing a slot. I saw him making cuts across the field. I never really saw him play slot. Um, but I'd probably leave that to Amon and Khalif. I
And with
wouldn't.
the new returner rules, Leaf
I
probably
mean, with Ben Johnson's offense, he does all kinds of stuff. So
right.
nobody's a slot, nobody's a wide receiver one, when nobody's a certain wide receiver two. So I'm sitting here talking all this BS, but Ben Johnson is the one that moves everybody around in the offense anyway. So
Hey, we
there's
talked,
nobody that's there's nobody that's a certain position in the wide
right,
receiver group. So
and Amon-Ra is like the ultimate positionless wide receiver because he's just quick enough to play outside, but he has good contested catch skills, and he's a terrific route runner more than anything. That's how he burns the guys on the outside. His double moves, the way he uses his hands. He's strong as an ox
he's Keenan Allen 2.0
without
because
the
Keenan
injury.
Allen's like that. Yeah, without the injury. Knock on wood, right? Yeah, see, that would be good, James. I like that one. DBJ should be a good red zone target. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where it usually is used anyway.
It looks like wide receiver 6, according to everything I read, is going in between Smith and what was the other guy? Derice Fountain. Those were the two guys that stood out the most.
Hmm.
And how many we
According
got? What, eight? We got eight wide receivers right now.
to
Oh,
9, we
that'll
got
slim
3 more
down.
UDFAs on top of that.
I would have to say that's going to slim down to 6. So 3 of them ain't going to be there. And I think that Fontaine guy is not going to be there. It's just some things are just inevitable at the end of at the end of OTAs and training camp and all that stuff. So
Yeah, let's see. Laporta played 20 or more snaps, like you said, at fullback, outside, and in the slot. Uh,
mhm.
Gibbs played a little bit at the slot. Monty, through motion, ended up in the slot a couple times for an empty backfield. So we do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, Ben Johnson's got all kinds of offensive sets off of basic packages. If people don't, a good defensive coordinator will have to study the film when they play us because they don't know. You know, I think Ben changes the personnel around every week too. That's another good thing about Ben. He'll change it. It might be the same set. Defensive coordinators will look at the film and say, "Oh, so when they're in, this is going to happen." But Ben Johnson switches it around so that there's different players playing that same position, and then they don't know what's going on. And, wait a minute, I didn't see this before.
That's
So
why I
Ben is
love
really
Ben
good at that.
Johnson. The switching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
There's only one play that they used the exact same way in 2 seasons in a row. Do you know which one it is,
Mm-hmm.
Mistrilla?
Not off the top of my head.
That one where Brock Wright chips the defensive end and then goes out into the flat, catches the ball, and gets 20 to 50 yards?
Uh,
They used
they
it
just
twice.
use different people. Mm-hmm. They use different people on
Um,
that too.
it's looking like uh, Antoine Green is going to be the wide receiver 5. They say he's developing fine. He's getting better at the routes and stuff like that. So he's already above everybody that was the UDFAs or any of those other free agents we picked up after. The battle is wide receiver 6 now, if they're even going to carry 6. Because remember, last year, most of the time, we only had 5.
I like Green, and Jeremy knows that I've liked Green since you
He's
guys
a
got him.
he's a pretty tall receiver, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's 6'2.5", and he runs a
Yeah,
4.39 40.
he's tall in the sense of he's an average receiver. Yeah.
Right. Well, anything above 6'2" anymore is considered a decent size. There's very few. Hope you guys are doing good. Sorry I didn't join at the start. Was working. Hey, RXJ, you're good, and we are all doing great. We're talking football.
Which is
But
always
on
great.
to our first actual topic of the evening. So, does anyone think that this train coming into the 24-25 season could derail? And if so, why? Will,
I think it's Super Bowl or bust. I think it's Super Bowl bust, NFC Championship or bust. I think this team um, got rid of the weak points on the team, and they added more. What they subtracted, they added with more. depth and better pieces. Like I like the addition of Betts. I like the addition of a handful of guys, the guys in the draft. Yeah, so you got better um, in the off season. So yeah, I think the team is fine.
Okay. Bistrella?
I think that if we had this conversation 10 years ago, we would expect some kind of derailment to happen because that was the Lions then. Now it's like 75 to 85%. I don't think there's going to be any derailment unless it's an act of God where two or three main people get hurt at the same time. But other than that, I don't see it. I just don't see anything that's going to derail them. They have a very good coach that keeps them motivated. Pretty much the players are focused, and Sewell and by himself can get that team motivated. So I don't see any derailment that's going to happen with that team. Like I said, it's going to take an act of God for that to happen. So I just don't see it
The
at
only
all.
derailment actually I see is if AG just somehow blows it again, which he shouldn't.
Um, yeah, that is a very valid point because we've all discussed that this is the no excuses year for AG to have anything less than the 15th ranked defense, maybe 16th at worst. It's because think about it. If we were the 16th ranked passing defense last year, we'd have been in the Super Bowl and
Yeah.
probably the number one seed because the only game where we would have lost for sure is the Ravens.
Hmm.
Now, James, I do have to disagree. If Goff gets hurt, I don't think we're going to be messed up. We
No.
do have Hookers. You got to understand something. You guys got to understand. Me and Jeremy always say this about Goff. He's a great quarterback when he's got other pieces around him. You put somebody in there that's got that same mobility and the same kind of, Hooker was a Heisman Trophy candidate before he got hurt, and right now he's up to par. Yeah, he's having a rough OTA, but he watch when preseason comes. He's going to have a couple good games during preseason. I think that once you see how he works with the preseason team, you'll see what his potential could be. So I'm not worried about Goff. I don't want Goff to get hurt because he deserves to. If he gets in the Super Bowl, we get in the Super Bowl. He deserves to be there on the field when we do that. But if he gets hurt, I think Hooker's more than capable to take over.
Yeah, we don't know who Hooker is in the NFL, but I very rarely, you never saw Malik do what Hendon Hooker did. So to even say he could be Malik, I find that a stretch. But
Oh yeah, it's
at
a
the same
stretch.
time, Detroit fan man, terrible injuries, hip drop tackle, referee chaos, maybe the new defensive secondary takes too much time to gel, or Rory got into the potato salad again and made a mess of the locker room. Yeah, yeah, great take. I love it. But yeah, that's but I do think its injuries are about the only thing that can derail us, and it would have to be two or three on each side of the ball to keep people. You know, if Hutchison and Aline go down in the same game and they're out for 3 or 4 games, that's going to be a rough road to hoe. You know what I mean? On that side of the ball. On the other side of the ball, we saw what it was. Frank Ragnow was out for 6 games and we lost 5 of them. He's the linchpin to the center of this because the interior part of our O line without Frank Ragnow there looked like a turnstile or a red light district hooker in the low rent district of New York. Just saying. It looked like one or the other.
Yeah, Ragnow is probably the most serious person we can't lose, um, just because of that whole situation there. But even then, I think that we have enough talent offensive as an offensive line that we could patch that up and maybe not be as bad as we were last year when we didn't have him. Maybe just lose 2 games instead of five, five. But whatever. So
I did read that Kingsley Egotun, the guy we gave the 240,000 guaranteed out of the UDFA, He was having a terrific camp blocking because, basically they only put the one D end up against the center in those 7-on-7s because they want him to actually make plays and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In the rushes, you get to the quarterback and it's a sack automatically if he hasn't released the ball. But Egwakun was doing really well at keeping people off of Hooker in the second team drills. And that's good to hear because if you think about it, we've got some dogs in the second team defensively. You got Pascal, you got Levi, who's starting to look like he's better, but we heard this last off season too, so that's why I pumped the brakes on that one. But you got Comiskey, you got James Houston, who's coming back off of his injury. I don't know if he's back yet. I don't think he is. Is that the guy that's played 20 NFL games? No,
The
Egwakun
one.
hasn't played any uh, NFL games. He just graduated from Florida. He would have been a top center if he wouldn't have got hurt in week 4 of the college. He was one of the top rated centers in college football at that time.
Gotcha. I think I've heard his name.
Kingsley Egwakun. Eguakun.
I got a
Yeah,
nickname for him.
he came into the league not too long ago, didn't he? Wasn't he a rookie? He was.
He's a
Wasn't he on
rookie.
somebody's? Yeah, wasn't
No,
he on somebody's? No, he's a
no, that
rookie.
was
Rookie.
the other
Okay.
guy we picked up. I think it was Hudson. That was a UDFA from last year. We got off of somebody else's pick. Yeah, he slid due to the injury. The tape that exists is very good, though. Yeah, that's what it
Mm-hmm.
was. He got hurt in week 4 last season. And he's fully recovered and out there playing.
Mm.
I don't know.
Coyote Awasika? That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
Oh, Nitain Mutai. Yeah, he hasn't really shown anything. I don't think he's cracking. He's a guard. He hasn't shown enough to jump Colby Sorsdahl or Mahogany.
Yeah, he ain't
And
gonna
that
jump Mahogany.
no, I don't think anybody's jumping Mahogany. Mahogany falling from the late second, early third round all the way to the 6th is a travesty to the other 31 teams.
Mm-hmm.
He just came to the best situation ever. Hey, here's the crazy thing at rookie camp. Uh, Tim 20Man was there, and he did his interview that night with one of the position coaches, and it wasn't Hank Braley, but they were talking about the rookies, and he goes, "Is it just me?" And when I was watching Christian Mahogany, because he was wearing 73, even though he was on the right side, it was like Jonah Jackson was still out there. Do you know how big of a compliment that is to hear that in the offensive line, the trench drills, that it looked like Jonah Jackson was still out there playing? You're talking about a guy that made it to an All Pro and was a Pro Bowler. Because he was an All Pro, wasn't he, in 2022?
He was.
Yeah. So that's kind of a big deal to me to hear that type of praise being said about somebody. I understand it's camp and they're not wearing pads and everything else, but still, that his movement, his hand placement, how he blocked, they said it was like Jonah Jackson never left the team.
Wow.
So to me, that's a big, big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we all know how Green Bay's GM feels about Brad Holmes, and now he griped again. You heard about this, right? B, the topic that I got coming up,
Mm-hmm.
because they were really interested in Jake Bates as well. But Jake Bates never left Detroit. He walked into Allen Park and signed his contract Sunday, June 16th, and as expected, he would. The next day, James Turner is waived, and less than 2 hours later, who picks him up? The Green Bay Packers. But they're already complained in 2023 that we sniped Branch from them with that trade. Oh, we're going to take Hooker here. And they bought it. But Terry on Arnold this year when we sniped up underneath the Cardinals bid. Remember, the Cardinals made a bid. They were giving up the 27th pick in their 105th pick. So we packaged our third round pick, and much to the chagrin of many Lions fans, but we moved up 5 spots. And by taking Arnold, who was considered the 1A, 1B, it doesn't matter which one you put there, Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold, coming into this draft, were considered the 2 best corners in this draft. And we were able to get him at 24, right? Right ahead of the Packers.
Yep.
Went up 5 spots. And Gutgers called Brad Holmes a thief. Over under on how many players will wear the safety marshmallow. I think they require. Last year they only required the defensive and offensive lines to wear them. But there's a rule that they all have to wear them this preseason, and there's even an option that for them to wear them in games. I don't see that happening.
Mm-mm.
But I think they all have to wear them in camp once full contact begins.
Well, that would be good.
But
I
yeah,
don't think they're going to be wearing them during preseason games, though. That's going to be treated like a regular season game.
Right.
So you
I'm
don't.
just saying in the
But
offseason,
it's good that they do that, Dan. That's fine. I had no problem them wearing it, Dan. I mean, even with the marshmallow on, you still at risk for getting a concussion. It's not. There's nothing that's going to stop you from doing anything unless you're in a bubble, and that and if your bubble pops, you're hit. So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know what I said as soon as I saw them, the way they fit over the helmet and they came down to the ear holes, and it looked like a military helmet on top of their football helmet is what it reminded me of. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what they used to call us in basic training when we wore those?
Marshmallow heads.
No, we were walking penises because it looked like a cat.
Walking penises. I should have figured that much. We didn't have that in
but
Navy boot camp.
speaking of Gutekunst and the whole Brad Holmes thing, Gutekunst, if you have a problem with it, just trade up yourself. Stop being a baby. Man up. Brad Holmes is a lot smarter than you are, and if you're not smart enough to call another GM and say, "Hey, let's do a trade. How about this and this for this and this?" But you're so dumb that you just stay in your position. You're like, "Oh, the Lions are probably gonna make a dumb move like they always do." Guess what, Goonkirst? Your fault.
Bistrella?
I think this whole thing with the kicker thing, this is not. Let me tell you something. If there's any Achilles heel of this team, it's the kicker. They don't know how to pick a kicker to save them lives. They've had Badgley here now and then. They've had Patterson here. They've had a flurry of other kickers in the 3 years that they've been in. It's under. They don't know how. Kickers is not their strong point, and I really do think that getting rid of Turner was a bad move. And I don't think that Bates is oohing and eyeing everybody because he can kick a 64-yard field goal. But people don't understand. This is why I told people. In fact, our guy Rumble that usually comes on here. This is what I told him. I said, we were oohing out, and I was on that Bates train too in the beginning of the UFL season with the Panthers. And I was like, this dude just kicked a 64-yard field goal. He kicked a 62-yard field goal to win one game. He was doing everything. I said, but let's see what happens when he goes on the road. Let's see what happens when he's in the game time situation. Let's see what happens when he's outside. Then we'll see what the true kicker is. Sure enough, the second half of the season was mostly away games, and he had a terrible time. He had he missed kicks that he usually makes. He also missed a couple of one game-winning kick in the last season of the game. He got hurt, which is not something you want your kicker to do. And then assign him to a 2-year contract. This is what I'm talking about. The Lions, they have bad luck with kickers. Just stick a kicker in there and just go with it. Stop trying to have a competition. Badgley was not bad. He was 7-7 last year when he had to kick. The only reason why he was 7-7 because Mr. Man decided he wanted to go for every fourth down. Now, you can say that he wasn't confident in his kicker, but Badgley's really good in between 30 and 49. I mean, and James, and he's a 80. I think he's an 84.2% kicker. Well, 82.4% kicker, 82.4% kicker. And James Turner is an 85.7, and all he does is kick outside when he was in college. So I don't. This is one of those things where you take you take something that looks like a shiny toy and you buy into it, even though the shiny toy has little defects in it. And this is what I don't like about the kicking game. And as far as Green Bay is concerned, I don't give a damn about Green Bay. Be a better general manager.
Right.
That's all I say.
That's what I'm saying.
Stop crying. But they, in this case, though, James Turner might be the guy. You never know, because he's got to play. He's going against two other kickers too on Green Bay.
Oh God,
a veteran
and then
a veteran. Oh Lord.
Oh God, Orlando.
Anyway.
You got issues.
Well, and see, that's the thing about this whole thing, Chad. We don't since we have this "we don't kick anyway" mentality. Who gives a damn who the kicker is?
And
keep Badgley. I mean, who cares? You're not going to be. There's not going to be any point. And pretty much, you're not going to be a point where you're going to need a 64-yard field goal because the offense is always on to like the 30 or the 20 or something like that. Why the hell would we need a kicker that kicks 64? That's a waste of talent. You know.
I can give you one reason why I would actually take Bates and get rid of Badgley right now. Extra points. He was 13 of 15 in the regular season. He was only 11 of 20 in the postseason.
Who was that?
Badgley. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
Orlando,
but that's
God.
not. What was his stats for last year, though?
Let me go to overall stat.
I know he missed a couple last year.
He missed one last year. He missed none in 2022.
Well, that's field goals. What about
I'm looking
extra
at
points?
I'm looking at extra points. He was 33 of 33 in 2022. He didn't.
He had 13 extra points made and 15 attempted, so he did miss 2.
He missed 2, and he missed 9 in the postseason.
Not this postseason, he didn't.
That's what he said. The 11 made out of 20. They said we scored a total of 20 touchdowns. I don't know how they came up with that, but they said postseason this year.
Yeah, that's not true. It can't be true.
I'm looking on ESPN right now. Oh, that's career. Career-wise, he's got 9 of them. That's not good.
But he didn't miss any. He didn't miss any this in a playoffs. It's always about now. It ain't about what happened 2 or 3 years ago. That's just an average thing. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, if we go by that, I mean, Jay Bates, he's a 77% kicker. He's missed a good many of his kicks. Whether or not he can bomb from 64 yards doesn't mean anything. If he doesn't have the accuracy, what's that good for? That's what I'm talking about. You got to take the him and the high.
The accuracies he missed was outside too. He didn't miss it Ford Field, and we have 14 games inside.
He didn't miss kicks in Ford Field, but it wasn't as many as he missed when he was outside. True enough. However, he still kicked 77%. I'm just saying.
Badgley in 2022, his longest was 53.
Who's the Mad Bomber? Is that Badgley's nickname?
The reason to keep the Mad Badger is to beat Baltimore in the Super Bowl with a 67-yard game winner. He's talking about Bates.
And it'll be outside, so he'll miss that. I'm just telling you.
Many of you named the only place kicker to win the MVP award. Was that Vinatieri?
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Either Vinatieri, Guy, or Janikowski, I'm gonna guess.
Randall
Not
Guy.
Janikowski. The guy for the Raiders.
Yeah, that guy.
That's Janikowski.
Oh,
I
I
No,
wanted to
couldn't
scout
tell.
for the Patriots because he had
no, this Vinatieri didn't.
no. Wait. Martin Anderson.
It could
Yeah, I
be
think
Morton
so.
Anderson.
No, it could be, or is it Gary Anderson?
Gary was
No.
the one for the Chiefs. Morton was the one for the Mark Mosley. Washington was the last straight on PK in the NFL had.
Mark
Didn't
Mosley.
know that.
Yeah, you just said it. Yep, Mark Mosley.
The guy who I read about a few months ago that I didn't know about, speaking of kickers, was Tom Dempsey,
Mm-hmm.
the club leg and the club foot.
Yeah, that's the one
Oh,
that
we know
beat the
all about
Lions in New Orleans. That was the one whose record has stood for such a long time. 63-yard field goal. Or was it 62? 62. Yeah,
62.
63 or 62. Yeah.
Isn't it broken now?
Yeah,
Well,
oh yeah, it's been broken.
Tucker holds the record
Well,
with
Tucker's
67.
got a 67.
Yeah,
It was 66.
it was 66 announced at the game, but they turned it into a 67 because it was in between the 2 yard lines, so they gave it to the next one.
66 yards.
Oh, I
That's the
did not
longest.
know.
The longest is 66 yards.
Louisiana.
Matt Prater had a 64-yard field goal, so that was the one that broke the record.
Originally, yeah, it was him and Jason Elam that had the 64-yard.
Yep, both in Denver.
Yep, and that's the other thing is that at Denver, Badgley's money. Outside, everywhere else, he struggles anything over 45 yards.
Yeah, Dempsey was a weapon because I had no other weapons on New Orleans. That's why.
Right. So the Lions
And
lost
and,
2
and the
games with
Lions were crap.
17 on NFL record-breaking field goals. Yeah, and we lost 2 specifically to Justin Tucker with a low-scoring game like that. Do you remember
Yeah, in fact,
Justin
we played
Tucker?
Baltimore in a Monday night field goal. A Monday night game, and he kicked 6 field goals, or not 6. He kicked 5
5.
field goals, 5 field goals, and beat us. They didn't even score a touchdown. They didn't have to score a touchdown. They had Justin Tucker out there.
Yeah, they
Kicked
beat us
5
like
field goals.
15-12 or 13 or
Yeah,
something.
15-13 or something like that. Yeah,
Kicker Fred Cox.
and again, his kick was the one that won the game. So
That's awesome, Orlando. Good. That's good information to have. Kicker Fred Cox invented the Nerf football. Hatter's House says, "What's up, fellas? Greetings from sunny Los Angeles. Yeah, it was sunny here until a thunderstorm, and it finally cooled it off, which helped me out to get through the last hour and a half of work.
there you go.
You know, when you work at a used tire shop, you don't have bays like they have at Can Rock and all that, where you bring the cars
Right, you
in.
got you outside stuff. Yeah.
Outside the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was happy to walk outside once that rain was coming down. Then somebody said, "Are you stupid?" I was like, "No, this is cooling me off."
Nope.
But before we go into the last topic, I want to do a little station identification. We are currently at 450 subs, which means 50 subs before the next giveaway for our fans, which will be a sports memorabilia item of Dan Leonard's choice for this whoever gets picked. We'll announce it just before we do it, of course. That way everybody knows what they're getting, or they'll give them a choice. Like last time, it was a custom mini helmet,
Mm-hmm.
or or a custom tumbler. And Rodney Fouch won it, and he chose the custom mini helmet. He got his mini helmet, and he's happy. Ralph Williams of RWM Media jumps in and says, "Hello, guys."
I need
But
to get a signed Panthers mini helmet. I have one with multiple my sister's friends gave me, but I want one with like a Panthers name on it. Like a
right,
regular.
but here we are on Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions on YouTube, Huddle Sports Network on Roku and Fire Stick, and of course on Facebook and Twitter. And in a few more days, I might actually be able to go live in my page again because it'll be 60 days old. They got to quit changing the rule every 30 days. Before, you got to have your page for 30 days and 100 followers. I had 100 followers by day 2. You know what? I want old school Polaroid too. Oh, you kind of got to dip in the lacquer? Yeah, that's the one Patricia tried to use for developing players, but he forgot the lacquer, so it all faded off of him. The old man,
Ray Guy.
Ray Guy.
What's that?
Ray Guy Award.
The kicker for the Raiders that did everything.
It was either Ray Guy or maybe he's thinking Jim Otto. Didn't Jim Otto do a lot of stuff
Otto
for the
was a
Raiders too?
lineman. Jim Otto was a lineman.
He's lineman. Thinking.
Yeah, the Rams. The Raiders have a lot of kickers in their history.
Yeah,
and they've had a lot of good kickers. Yeah,
Shane Leffler, Sebastian Janikowski.
We had Eddie Murray for 10, 12 years. Then we had Jason Hansen for it seemed like a lifetime. And then we had to go through that phase of Kickalicious and all those bums till we got Prater. And that wasn't that long ago. Place kicker, also QB, Tom Flores.
Right. Yep.
Oh, by the way, the question that was posed a little earlier down here. Here's another one. Who recalls a successful drop kick field goal, which are still legal? There's only one person that's done there's one person. The last person that did a drop kick field goal that was successful was Dutch Clark. He kicked it against the Arizona. I don't think they were called the Cardinals then, but whatever.
They were the
Arizona Bears or something. I don't know.
You know what's a cool kicking thing, and Jeremy and I were talking about months ago, was the Peyton's Places with the coffin corner punt with Pat McAfee. That's a really interesting science. Didn't Randall Cunningham have a crazy long punt? Speaking of
George Blanda. That's who
George Blanda, duh. I know Randall Cunningham punted the ball like really far at one point.
Yeah, but that was George Blanda is who Dad's thinking about.
Gotcha.
Yes, yeah. Randall Cunningham had a 95-yard punt because they didn't think it weren't they set up like in a regular passing formation on 4th down, like they were going to go for it, and he punted the ball, and there was no one back there to return it, and it just kept rolling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the play I'm thinking of, James Burgess.
Yep.
Somebody said we should try to do that with Goff. One of the other teams on a podcast, and one of the other guys that talked about another team. And in the back of my head, and yes, Smoke and Jeremy B, that is right. It was that type of play where it looked like they were in a regular passing formation, and he punted out of it.
He bombed it.
But let Goff do that. And then he said, well, it probably would take an athletic quarterback. I said, you just said the reason why they won't let Goff do it.
Yep, exactly.
I'm not trying to be mean, but
no, I wouldn't trust Goff
with the football in his hands. And what happens when he gets hit?
I saw a video. I think Brady did a pooch punt once.
At least we're not talking about our punter. Remember Morningweg? Yeah, I do.
I don't.
Goff ain't a legs guy. Exactly.
Yeah, he's not somebody to be out there punting. These are these parts of history where there's drop kicks for field goals and punts for 95 yards. Those are all in positions where teams are desperate and have to do stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't think
that's
we're gonna.
not for the everyday.
Right. So my last topic
He does
tonight
have
is,
solid footwork.
yep. The last topic for tonight is first Cam Sutton with the domestic issue. Now his adjusted dead cap was issued. It is $4.2 million. The Lions have $34.5 million left in cap space. I personally think we should roll it into next season to double our cap space next year. What say you guys? I'll start with you, B.
Well, the dead thing that you don't know, nobody knows this because nobody's given information on any of this whole situation with Cam Sutton. The NFL, the Lions submitted this to the NFL so they can get 10.5 back, but the NFL said, "Nah, we're not going to do that." But there was no explanation why the NFL came up with that ruling or anything like that. And you got to remember, Cam Sutton got picked up by Pittsburgh. So there might be something in his contract with Pittsburgh that he gives us some money back too. But there's nothing that's coming out there saying anything about that yet. These are just speculations. So
No,
we
it's on
don't
the
know
contract
if,
now. It's been confirmed they voided the contract.
well, I know they voided the contract, but the money that we were supposed to get wasn't of the full amount that we asked for. We asked for 10.5. They gave us like
They did-
4 point something.
They've already adjusted it. It's done now. It went
I
from a
know that. What
2.1
I'm
to
saying, what I'm saying is that Pittsburgh could had put it in Sutton's contract when Sutton signed with him to give us some of that money back too. That hasn't, no details of his contract has come out either. So that could be the reason why that the NFL made a ruling on it to give us that much, because maybe they knew that Cam Sutton's contract with Pittsburgh gave us some money back in return for him to be signed. So we don't know exactly what's happening on any end yet. I mean, I know the NFL made their ruling, but it's based on whatever happened with Cam Sutton, or maybe not. I don't know. Nobody knows because nobody's talking. So you just
no,
know.
nobody's
You just
talking.
know.
June 1st it happened, and now that it's the 21st this morning, they adjusted the dead cap part of it according to Sport Track, and they're the only
Right.
ones that reported it right away. So what happened is it went from a 2.1 dead cap to 4.2, and they said there is nothing further to update after this too. So I believe it's all done, which means we ended up saving $8.5 million, and I'm not angry with it. Are you?
There you go. This, yep. You voided a contract illegally appealed. So 40% of the, which is what that is. 10.5 held in escrow pending appeal. This process could take a year, but the 10.5 is still kind of swinging in the air. Okay, I like that explanation.
Yep. But that 40% is the 4.1 dead cap that we're
Yeah.
sitting right
Mm-hmm.
now. So, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, with knowing that that's kind of still up in the air for the 10.5, rolling it over might be really smart because all we have is 34.5 million next year. So if you turn that into 69 million and that 10.5 hits you, it's not going to hurt as much. If you only got 34.5 and you get hit with a 10.5 hit, that's going to hurt a lot. That now you're talking about you got 23 million. That means 3 prove it guys in your draft. That's pretty much it.
Yep. And I think rolling it over would be good.
They're
I
going to
think
do
it'd
that.
be
I don't think
beneficial.
they're picking anybody up. I think the Lions are happy with who they have right now.
I don't
Bingo.
Um,
Orlando, I don't know why you think we got to trade for anybody.
No, get the reason why I think we roll it over exactly what Pastrilla said. I think the lineup is already good enough. We're not going to sign anybody else. There's no need to roll it over to next year.
The
mhm.
only signings I see happening is if injuries happen. That's
Yeah.
it. So, let's say the average amount of injuries that happen in the NFL happen. That means you spend probably about $4.5 million. That means you still roll 30 over to next year. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Bingo.
I don't think they're going to sign. I don't think there's anybody to sign right now that the Lions are going to just be excited about. I just don't see. I don't see nobody out there like that. you got to understand the mentality of this regime too. And if it's a guy that's everybody's like sparkling and then say like Debo, not Debo, but the Ayuk trade
I
situation. I'm getting so sick of hearing about
Oh, I
this
am
whole
too.
situation. It's JMO
And
for Ayuk. First of all, Ayuk is a crybaby. Okay, you're not even the first best offensive weapon in San Francisco. You're not even the second best weapon
and
on San Francisco. You're about the third tie with third, maybe with Kittle, and you're going to try to get number one receiving money. It ain't happening, buddy. It's not
and
right,
going to happen. So
right,
stop trying to beg for that, and go ahead and play your football.
right.
and Jeremy and I have said it.
Whoa.
I'm sick of the rumors too because why would people say, "Oh, throw in JMO to get Ayuk"? Why would you trade a guy who is in development still?
That's the biggest thing. You admit, regular season wise, he's just played one season out of the 2 seasons. He hasn't even had a full off season of workouts yet because of what happened last year. Because just before he was supposed to be suspended, he got hurt. So he missed out on about 3 weeks of practices, 2 games in preseason, and 4 regular season games because of the suspension. But he came
Right.
back. He struggled for 3 games, and then something clicked, and he didn't have a drop to the NFC Championship game. And I'm tired of hearing he's got the drops. He doesn't concentrate. He doesn't do this. No to Ayuk, hard no. It's a cap suicide, and Brad won't do that anyways. It's a non-starter for me. Amen. That's what we're basically saying. Ayuk wants to be paid like Debo was paid when he got paid by San Francisco. Debo is chirping because he wants to be paid like somewhere between Amon-Ra and Jefferson now, but he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
do as much as he used to. If you look, his numbers have dipped because they don't have to use him in the run game anymore because they got CMC. So
Exactly.
his numbers have went down. Linebacker, I don't see a big need to do anything right now because right
No.
now we don't know what is going to happen with the Cowboys and CD Lamb and Micah Parsons and all that stuff.
And
And it's
James
up
had
to
a perfect comment to that too. He said, "No roster is perfecto. This Lions roster is as good as I've ever seen, and I'm old enough to say groovy and mean it." And
Amen.
I'm with you. I'm with you, James. I mean, you're right. There's no roster that's perfect, but this is the best depth wise and player wise I've ever seen the Lions roster. So I don't see that they're going to make a change. And I think that's what the regime is saying. We're not going to go out and get anybody else. We're fine where we're at.
The starting talent level wise on defense isn't where that 2014-15 defense was, but you know what it is? It's deeper than that defense was
Mm-hmm.
because when they had injuries, they suffered. Do you see Rodrigo getting some fullback snaps? Yes, probably. He did it last year. We don't have a true fullback on the team. You're thinking of luxury moves, but at the same time, Micah Parsons wants to be paid like Myles Garrett. We got Hutch coming up to do that with. As much as anyone hates to say it, if Hutch hits double sacks, because 9.5, that's technically he was half of a 10th sack. That's double digits year one. He hit 12.5 last year. With the projection that it's going, it's more than likely he's going to go up again because people make a bigger jump usually in year 3 of their career than they do in years 1 and 2. So, and I mean, look at every great pass rusher, barring the thing we don't want to talk about happening to them. They've all gone up by half as many sacks as they achieved the year before in year 3. So if he does that, you're talking about an 18.5 sack season. And PFF I actually projected it with AI and said that they actually expect him to get 18.5 sacks this year. And that's mostly because we improved the interior of the D line with Reader, Wingo. We got everybody else who's still here, including Martin, who did most of the starting, the first string stuff during all of camp because Reader and Davenport can't be there. So he was actually our first stringer at camp, and nobody said anything bad. That's the first thing I noticed. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not hearing anything bad about Martin, which means he's doing his job right. No news is good news when somebody has a bad year because they weren't developed properly. And that's a big reason why we don't have the same D-line coach anymore. None of our guys got better than they were the year before, other than Hutchinson and Aleem, who was progressing that way already by the end of the season the year before. So now you add somebody like DJ Reader in, a true DT that can actually sit there, a run stuffer, and eat up blocks and occasionally collapse a pocket, because that's exactly what DJ Reader is. You put him next to Aleem, and then you got a big guy that's the exact same body size with Broderick Martin that comes in, that's just a couple inches taller and a few pounds heavier. He's able to fill in and keep those legs fresh. And he already took in over 66% of his snaps the year before as double teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody bitches about Martin because he had the one play where he got rolled over on a running play. It's going to happen. Defensive tackles get rolled over by good guards every now and then. It's not uncommon.
Mhm.
Holmes is doing so good, he's saving millions on rookie contracts. We don't even know what to do with this money. Yes, we do. We can keep the core
Save
of the
it.
team together, save it, roll it over, and add to
Mm-hmm.
it next year. Because you know what? Because we can definitely keep Aleem if we roll that over. That's not even a question anymore. What do you think of the talk of a QB salary cap? I get it. They want to make a separate salary cap room. That way, the team cap is this, and then the quarterbacks can get up to X amount of dollars. It's good and it's bad for one reason. Mistrilla, are you high on Broderick Martin like Jeremy?
I'm not high on anybody. I mean, everybody, you play up to your talent, and that's what you're going to be out there. I mean, like I said, I trust Brad Holmes. I trust Dan Campbell. What they see out there is what they see out there. If they see some players not doing what they're supposed to be doing at a full tilt, they're not going to be playing out there. If they feel that they can do something, then they can. I don't. Half these rookies they got, you don't. A lot of them you got to go back and look at tape because nobody's heard of them, because they go out there and get rookies that are dudes that got grit. So you have to look at, they don't go for the high flyers all the time. Jamo was probably one of the high flyers that they actually got. That was a high flyer. Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't supposed to be the best running back of that group. He turned out to be that of that year of the draft. So and they said, oh, they went way too high for him. See, so
But at the same time, we didn't have a fourth rounder that year. And the high flyer didn't work. Why do you think it didn't work out? I don't understand that mentality. You're talking about a guy that was brought in as a project. What high flyer didn't work out?
I think he's talking about Jamo.
Oh my God.
It's undone,
I know. Well, we are up against it, and it is that time of night. It's time to do the sponsors before we got to get out of here. Well, we don't have to get out of here, but I won't be live on Roku. So let's get this over with. It's our favorite one. This is just for the Packer fans out there. FTP, it's Fornicate the Packers. That's for the pride. And, of course, Brandon's Tire Service at the corner of South Grand Traverse and Atherton Road. Used tires at $40. And new tires, call and get your quote. 810-233-8230.
And where's it located?
South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road here in Flint, Michigan, where the tires are good, but the water's not.
There you go.
You were waiting to say that, weren't you?
Yep.
He appealed to get his 10.5 guaranteed money back. So until that might take up to a year for that to be done, but they took an additional 2.1 in salary cap from us. So now we have 34.5. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I think he. I'm trying to find out where somebody actually explained it
Oh, you hit
correctly.
it. Mm.
That was a Detroit fan, man.
Yep,
Yep,
he said he
midway to the
voided
contract,
contract.
Cam has allegedly appealed, so 40% of the 10.5 is held in escrow.
Yeah, a pending appeal.
This process could take a year, but that 10.5 is kind of still
No,
hanging
no,
here.
no is undone. Oh my god.
I don't know why. You know what's funny? PFF just did their wide receiver core rankings in the entire team. They're not just talking about one player. They're saying the whole thing. And I've got the pictures right
What?
here on my phone, and I'm going to go through it one by one. I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. At 32 is the Patriots. At 31 is the Chargers. At 30 is the Broncos. At 29 is the Panthers. You're not the worst in the league anymore. Well, at 28 is the Giants. At 27 is the Bills. At 26 is the Steelers. At 25 is the Jaguars. At 24 is the Saints. At 23 is the Ravens. At 22 is the Colts. At 21 is the Cardinals. At 20 is the Commanders. At 19 is the Jets. At 18 is the Browns. At 17 is the Raiders. At 16 is the Chiefs. At 15 is the Cowboys. At 14 is the Packers. At 13 is the Falcons. At 12 is the Titans. At 11 is the Buccaneers. At 10 is the Seahawks. At 9 is the Bengals. Notice there's 3 teams in the North I've yet to mention. At 8 is the Rams. At 7 is the Lions. At 6 is the Vikings. At 5 is the Texans. At 4 is the Bears. At 3 is the Eagles. At 2 is the Dolphins. And at 1 is the 49ers. Michael Thomas is a more injury prone version of Keenan Allen that plays like Amon Ra.
I can't stand that dude. Slant boy? No.
He was only good with Drew Brees. Ever since Drew Brees retired, he's been dog crap.
That's why I said no, no, no. Can't stand the guy.
Michael
Oh, well.
Thomas is a one and done guy anyway. Yeah, he's a K car now. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's about right. I would say somewhere between a K car and a Yugo. And the only
Yeah,
reason why I mention the Yugo is because the Yugo breaks down a lot.
No, he's a tricycle.
No,
you didn't give him that much credit.
No.
a
Scooter,
I
tricycle
hate
never
the dude.
breaks.
one of
Man.
those, one of those,
That
one
never
of
goes
those
flat.
manual scooters.
Yeah, I can't stand that dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
we're gonna stay live and just shoot the shit because this is when
Where
it
was
gets
he
fun.
put? He's a free agent now, right? So
Yeah,
Saints haven't re-signed him. So yeah,
Saints didn't re-sign him. That okay. As good as he's been for the Saints over all those years, and they refused to re-sign him. You know why? He wants lots of money.
just for 1 year.
If if Tamo lives up to the hype, then they would move to top 5 on that list, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, well,
All right.
but at the same
Yeah.
time,
Undone doesn't like JMO.
you know
That's
he
that's the thing. He
right.
does not like JMO.
And it has to do with fantasy football. We found that out this morning. Ooh, we're doing late night edition.
Cinemax needs a record, huh?
No, this isn't Skinamax. This isn't Friday After Dark.
Right.
Well, it is, but it isn't. How's that? But at the same time, we're having fun, and why not keep it going? Just means we're done on Roku. We're just not done.
Right. Let's see here.
So last year it was Emmanuel Mosley who played 2 snaps, then got injured, then Cam Sutton, then Jerry Jacobs. And then it was Brian Branch at the nickel. It was supposed to be CJ but ended up being Tracy Walker's. Barry Sanders did not pass. He had a heart episode on Father's Day. He's recovering and he's fine. I'm hoping he gets well soon.
Oh, yeah. I'm not even saying nothing to that. Believe me, if he passed, that would be all over every network everywhere. So, let's see what news we got today.
Barry is fine. I expect 600 yards rushing out of him this year. He requires the beast linebacker who led the mid-90s Carolina zone blitz. Was that Paul Posluszny? That sounds about right, wasn't it?
What's that?
The mid-90s linebacker for Carolina when they first got into the league. Didn't they draft Paul Posluszny out of Penn State back then? Because Luke Kuechly is the one that took over for him. And Kevin Green was a part of that too, right? Wasn't Kevin Green a Panther? Kevin Green.
Yep, Kevin Green was, yeah.
No, it's just a heart episode. They didn't say it was a heart attack. It could have been arrhythmia. It could have been any number of things. But he is on the mend and he's doing fine. He posted a tweet today posted on Instagram today.
No, Posluszny was. Posluszny was drafted by Buffalo.
Buffalo, okay. Just swore he was with the Panthers, but Kevin Green was who he was thinking of.
Yeah, Kevin Green. Yeah. Yeah, Barry's okay. He said he just got. He said he just had a scare because he thought he was feeling all good. He said you need to go and get checked up once in a while because just because you're feeling good doesn't mean you are good. So that's why.
Which is why I'm thinking it's arrhythmia. Arrhythmia, you can feel fine, and when it hits you, it literally can kill you. What is the There was a girl interviewed by a guy on the street on Instagram, and
yeah, I know, yeah,
and she was asked on how to do the smoking the pole a little better, and she goes, "Spit on that thing, hot." A lot of 90s defenders and DCs are thinking karma. He gave me a heart attacks back in the day. So there was a joke meme that she was signed by she's
Miami.
the new Tua that was signed by Miami.
Yeah, she was Tua's sister.
Right.
Tua.
Oh man. But I do got a funny one for you. I did see a picture of somebody who's a shareholder of the Packers the other day.
Oh yeah. Was it
NFL ownership looks a little bit different in Wisconsin, don't it?
Yeah. I wonder if anybody bought that house that was right down the street from Lambeau, because they had that house on the market for a while, and this is before the playoffs, and the Lions are like, yeah, we should somebody from Detroit should go buy that house and charge $200 for parking for Packer fans.
I wish Sheila would give me a hot Tua, he said.
Damn.
I think that guy is from Appleton. He probably is. Appleton, Wisconsin. Which, if you want to go to the draft and you need to book a hotel, you might want to do it now because Appleton's already booked up. The 3 hotels they got there. You laughed when I said 3 hotels.
Yeah, 3 old hotels. Woo!
I mean, hell, Bay City's only got 50,000 people populace-wise, according to the 2020 census.
Mm-hmm.
They've got 24 motels, hotels, and everything else. James Houston is still recovering from his ankle. He hasn't made it back to camp yet. Remember, he literally broke his ankle and had to have surgery to repair it. And as someone who knows about that, oh God, my aunt lives in Appleton. I get free board from a crazy bitch, but at least I can stay out all night. You better hope she doesn't get in that same sauce you do. Might be
Oh,
crawling into
that's
your
good.
bed. How you done, Sonny?
Uh,
Oh, I like having fun.
nothing wrong with that.
But here's the other one I heard here. Um, Breaking news: DJ Hawkinson has been traded to the Dolphins. Miami looks to spit on that thing with the Hawk Tua connection.
There you go. Hot to a. Yeah, people are going absolutely nuts on that Hot Tua stuff.
Damn straight, smoking Jeremy. That would be scarier than Lawrence Taylor blindsiding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? That's because everybody's off right now. The
Right. So
only
OTAs are over with.
is if somebody gets arrested, if there's a re-signing somewhere, and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's not go into the bad stuff. Let's not go into the
No, but
getting
I mean,
arrested kind of thing. We don't need
but
that.
I do have some Hendon Hooker news. Yesterday, he was at a fundraiser, and he's actually been sponsored by Gardner White Furniture, who has decided to donate the furniture as part of the sponsorship towards Hendon Hooker's apartment that he just got into. He got into one of those nice flats here in Detroit. And so now, if you go and like the post and follow Gardner White Furniture and you're a Lions fan, you will be entered into a drawing for a $25,000 interior home makeover with appliances and furniture.
Ooh.
That's actually pretty nice. 25,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
pretty much redo a whole house. But the other one I wanted to show you is they rated the top 10 running backs by PFF, and
We were
the
third.
Green Bay Packers got a good color on their name at 6 there. Did you see that?
Damn. Oops. Somebody was that just a type error? I didn't even notice that. Was that an error by
I
PFF?
I think
Oh,
somebody changed it out on purpose and put it in there. They photoshopped it in because Green
we
Bay
own
fans
them anyway.
are pissed about this one. But who's at number 3 there? Oh,
Yeah,
that
I
is
know
the Detroit.
Lions. Yeah,
And
above Baltimore, which is kind of hilarious.
and that list actually
Atlanta.
looks pretty accurate, he says. How are the
So
Dolphins better than Lions? Evidently, you didn't pay attention to Jeff
a
Wilson,
team.
Raheem Mostert, and Devin Ashane.
Yeah,
Ashane had 276 yards in one game.
he was a beast.
And I
He was a
said,
beast the whole season until he got hurt.
right, he was getting 80 yards as RB3 and a touchdown every other game.
And Mostert was doing really well too. So I mean, everybody, all three running backs in that team were um, very good for that team, which
So,
was pretty amazing. But
in order to
Miami
get
still fails at life.
right, Gibbs gets all the talk. Who would have been better value than Gibbs at 12? No. Devin Ashane is not an all around running back. All he is speed. He doesn't receive well. He does run well, but he's basically good at getting around the corner. He does not do well going through the center. Gibbs is more of an all around back and played all year. Ashane missed half the season. So tell me how he would have been better value at 12.
You don't know. He rushed for 364 yards on 43 carries with 4 touchdowns, as well as 97 yards and 1 touchdown. So
Mm,
that's what he had this season.
right. So
He's an
no,
electric player, though.
he is electric. If he can stay healthy, he'll be amazing.
That's only fair with those kind of players, too. When they get electric, those electric players sometimes are the ones that get more injury prone.
Third pick, that's why. What do you mean third pick? He wasn't the third running back pick. He was like the 12th or 15th. He was picked in the third or fourth round, wasn't he?
He was a third round pick, 84th by the Miami Dolphins.
Right. There was guys picked ahead of him.
So let's see. He had, okay. This is his regular season stats. All right. He does have a high average. He is a decent running back.
He's not Gibbs.
He's not Gibbs, though. Yeah, he had 103 carries for 800 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a 7.8 average. That's
Mm,
pretty damn good.
it is.
7.8. That's a first down, basically.
That-
But
that-
you got to stay healthy, though. That's the point.
and he got most of his yards torching Denver. That was his breakout game, if I remember right.
He lost a fumble.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Gibbs did too. +2, if I remember right.
He had 197 receiving yards too, at 7.3 a clip. So he's got the potential. He just got to stay healthy.
Right.
I think
That's the
that
thing
was his
is
prime.
size. He was a little on the light side as far as running backs were concerned for his size, and that's what's leading to the durability.
He played 11
Because
games.
it's not just
And
one guy; it's the entire room is undone.
What? Oh God, he's undone.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, Chain hits home runs, but he can't be. Yeah, he's not a full. Yeah,
No,
that he didn't even start the first game. I think it was the second
no,
game he came in there and started whooping behind, but
it's a
he got
committee.
hurt.
Yeah,
He just still got hurt.
Yeah,
yeah. You know who fell off? I haven't heard from in a while. Is Damian Pierce.
Well, you're not going to hear about him too much no more either because they got dude
Mixon.
from Cincinnati Mixon.
uh,
Yeah,
how did
that
Zonovan
was a
do it, Cam?
steal.
I didn't hear a single word about it. About Zonovan. It's because they have a third running back, which is Devin Ashane. I would like Devin Ashane instead of Craig Reynolds.
I like him
Just
than
saying.
any of the any of your running backs after Monty. I would like to have him.
Yeah, Monty Gibbs and then Ashane. That would be amazing.
Oh, that would be it. That's all you need.
Yep.
And we
Yeah,
have
I'd take him over. I'd take Vaki. I would take him over Vaki any day. I just I understand what they see in Vaki, but Vaki is still not a full time running back. He has never been a full time running back. You got to let him, you know, settle into a role. And he was a start. He was a safety most of his career, and he wasn't a bad safety at that.
okay.
So,
Yeah, it was Denver when they scored the 70 points. He had 18
mhm,
carries for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns with a long of 67.
mhm. How many
He
receiving
had
yards did he have in that
100
game? Because I think
then
he,
he had
I think he had
150.
a he had
Then he had
150 receiving yards.
no. This is all rushing. He had only had a total of 197 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns.
Only 107 running back. Let's see.
Donovan McKnight, though, I haven't heard anything about him, and with the injury he had last year, he may struggle to make the roster this year
Yep.
because we got Craig Reynolds has kick return ability. Baki, we know, has special teams ability. Leaf has special teams ability. DPJ was a good punt returner for Cleveland. I think that's one of the reasons why we kept DPJ on the team, is because he has special teams value.
Yep.
But who else? And with the new rules, you may actually see some stupid shit. Because with the new rules and the
Well,
way it's set up and where the blocking is, the hook and ladder is probably coming back into play.
I wouldn't be surprised to see because Khalif was the one that was doing a lot of the kick returning too. You got to remember that before he got injured, and that's why DPJ came in there to take over that. But I don't like him. I don't like DPJ as a kick returner.
I like him better as
He
a
kind of
punt.
show he is slow guy. He's slow in that return. I don't know what happened when he first started doing it because he was really good when he first started doing. This is before he was on the Lions. He was on Cleveland. He was doing a real good job there, but I don't know what happened since then. He looks a tad bit slower. But if they have Vaki back there with, and I think that's what they want to do. They want to put Vaki back there with Khalif. You have those two. Khalif is fast and Vaki is fast, but he also is a good. He's got running back ability. That's really all you are when you're in on special teams as a running back because you kind of dodge everybody. So that might work. Jake Funk, I don't know. Jake Funk might be a wild card in this whole situation.
Yeah, we
They're
haven't
gonna
heard
make him a
anything about
fullback.
him, but when they're those guys that just got signed and you haven't heard anything about, not hearing anything about him is better than hearing bad news.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
No news is good news. All right, guys, handle the chat for a second. I got to use the restroom.
All right.
Guessing.
Yeah, I would probably have to agree with you on that one, James.
Yeah, no, I agree too.
If anything, I think that's his added 2 cents in there got him to the Lions. So
Yep.
because he would be added, that would be somebody you would. He's a safety slash running back. I mean, who couldn't use that in the backfield on these new kickoff rules with Khalifa? That'd be a dangerous tandem right there. Khalifa already knows how to run really well, punt returns and kick returns, and you add that with Vaki, you can do all kinds of stuff back there, man. And Phipp is one of those guys too that is like he's the Ben Johnson of special teams. He'll put stuff out there. So, let's see.
My teeth can quit
Jeremy,
floating.
I've got to run.
All right, you have a good night, Will. Thanks for hopping in. Don't forget to check out WVogs 18 on YouTube because he does do talks with other sports card memorabilia guys. They do rips and breaks every now and then. So check him out.
Thanks, man. Talk to you later. See you Wednesday.
All right, Will.
Have a good
Yep.
Good
night.
night, gentlemen.
You too, sir. Surprise Lions cuts. That'd be a nice little show to have, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm waiting till about halfway through training camp to hear about which cream's rising to the top and who's sinking or flailing. I know he said the surprise cuts for him would be Broderick Martin and Levi and Wizariki the other day. T-Bone Locks, what's up, buddy? Good to see you here. And I do want to say, Billy Regans Jr. got picked up by a semi-pro team, an actual 11-on-11 team, and I got a report from him. This is the running back that we did an interview on the South Florida Tribune show, and he's 6'3", 215 pounds, and runs a sub 4.5 40. In his first game back, he had 16 carries for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Damn.
He came out of Prairie View College. And he just was one of those guys that fell through the cracks. He went to an arena football league, was the MVP of the league his first year playing in arena football as a running back. And now he's in an 11-on-11 sub-M pro team. In his first game, he has over 200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Sounds
anyone
good for
grab
him.
Martinez out of the UFL yet? I heard he's being trying out for the backup position of the Panthers. Also, the Panthers are bringing in Hakeem Butler, the guy that was the offensive player of the year, too. If they get both of them,
I'm gonna tell you, Bryce better be starting to look over his shoulder, because if he doesn't get himself together in this third year, or
the
it was
second
the
year.
second year, if he don't get his stuff together in his second year, at least a little bit better than last year, yeah, they're going to be calling for his head at the end of the season, which is a shame, because I usually give players 3 years. But at a quarterback position where it's such a direct looking, it's the
Yeah,
highest position on the team, you
highest
can't be
position
failing like that.
and most volatile. It's kind of like playing those slots that have the really good bonuses. It's really hard to get a good line hit on those ones, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
volatile game. But once you hit,
Mm-hmm.
you hit. That's the way it works. I just like to use the gambling analogy. Man, this is what I miss doing, is just sitting around bullshit, talking with the guys. This reminds me of after you watched a good game and you're sitting around at the bar after watching with a few people that you became friends with because you were all fans of the same team, and you're just sitting around doing like a little chat, talking football. That's what this part reminds me of, when there's no set format. I mean, in 21 we were desperados, but we still have Khalif, Brock, and etc. When we just brought in anyone we thought might have the right to. He goes, "Yep, +1 SJB."
Mm-hmm.
But I gave the guy a congratulations because I follow him on Twitter, I follow him on LinkedIn, and he friended me on Facebook as well after that interview. It was he's a good kid, smart kid. I mean, he's 24 years old now. He's been out of college for 2 years, but he's at that age where if he doesn't get his break into the NFL, he's not going to get one. Because once you hit 26, if you haven't made it to the NFL by then, you don't get in.
I wouldn't be surprised if we cut Sudfeld and get another quarterback to
I
fill
wouldn't either.
that third position.
We all know Suckbelt is Suckbelt.
Right.
Somebody said, "Oh, Suckbelt's having a better camp than Hendon Hooker." I said, "It's Hooker's first camp." What? Suckbelt's been on this roster off and on the last 2 seasons, right?
He better be. He better be better. Because if you can't beat a quarterback that is starting to get the turf under his legs again, then you definitely suck.
Right. But what I'm saying is, it was a year and a half since the last time Hendon Hooker took a snap, and at OTAs he was struggling with his footwork and his mechanics a little bit. But that's what JT Barrett and Mark Brunell are for.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mark Brunell, if you actually look, Goff had some bad mechanics in 2021 when he was here. Suckbelt can't win a real game, can't use a roster spot for an assistant QB video coach. Love it. But
Yeah,
the
I
one
just had this feeling that he's gonna be gone.
could be. We got that. Didn't we get a QB in the UDFAs, or was that one of? No, it was a camp invite, and he didn't make it. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I would have liked that kid to make it.
I love how everybody was blowing him up when he got here, though. Oh, he's 6 foot something, and and he did this and he did that. A lot of these UDFA players come from Division II schools. I keep trying to tell people that you gotta be horse over nails, bent over nails to be getting a job in the NFL, and you're from a Division II team. Believe me, not too many Division II team players make it past year 2. So year 1 actually. So you got to be up there.
Yeah, James Burgess is exactly right about Sudfeld, though. In all truth, Sudfeld needs to pursue his next career as an assistant coach at a small college and work his way up. Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. As a matter of fact, he could probably go back to his alma mater and get in as an assistant coach or the video guy.
Mm-hmm.
I
I mean, Sudville is not a. He's just a bad quarterback. He's not a dumb quarterback. He learns stuff. He knows his plays. He's intelligent from that standpoint because I've heard him talk about certain things on quarterbacking. The problem with him is he's not athletic enough to complete those sentences that he makes. So he's a better coach. He's kind of like John Elway's backup quarterback that became an offensive coordinator, which at one time was a head coach. However, he shouldn't have been a head coach. He's just been an offensive coordinator. But that's the kind of guy that he needs to turn into. He needs to turn into something like that because he's not a good quarterback anymore. He wasn't ever a good quarterback in the first place. But
on for an hour and a half, and we've got 9 people still watching. This is great. Exactly, Thrilla. Good grade. No athletics for Sunday ball. That's an accurate statement.
Yep. Yeah, because like I said, I've heard him talk football before. He's got the mind for it. He just doesn't have the athleticism to complete those sentences. That's what I'm just saying. He's not the guy. Yeah, the physical toll or any of that. He's been in for 8 years though, so you give him something. But he hasn't been. I think he did start. Didn't he start a couple of games?
2 games.
Didn't he?
He has 2
started a couple of games.
And 3 interceptions.
There you go. Hey.
Best interception to touch. Any thoughts about another good backup QB? T-Bone Lopes, to me, you almost want to go with a young guy that's unproven, that's out there on free agent, or one vet that doesn't want big money, that hasn't been a starter. And yes, he has never ran out the back of the end zone. This is true, James. +1.
Yeah. This is awesome. Yeah.
We'll give him that. Let's see. Free agent quarterback. Let's take a look.
So his stat line ain't the greatest.
Well, we know that a few of these are off of there. Famous Jameis is still out there, but I don't want him. Jimmy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at somebody like that. No.
No,
we got Hendon Hooker. I don't want Ryan Tannehill. I don't want any of the bigger name quarterbacks that are out there. Somebody from the UFL would be good. I would prefer to have Martinez as our backup, our third string guy, because he knows the Lions. So I mean,
right. I was hoping we'd have kept him last year, actually, over who we kept as our QB3.
He'd be awesome.
Back. That was intelligent.
But
I know James.
I mean, I would feel a whole lot better about our quarterback room if we had Martinez. I just don't feel good about Sudfeld being a third because I mean,
there was that
shit could hit the fan and you can lose both Goff and Hooker. I wouldn't trust Sudfeld. Sudfeld, even with that offensive line and all the weapons he got, I still don't trust him. I just don't trust him to make the decisions that need to be made.
He doesn't have a spinal cord to transfer the thoughts from the brain to his throwing arm.
I mean, think of it. That's the reason why his ass is number 3 in the depth chart.
Right.
And a rookie that hasn't even played yet in an NFL game is above him. That's kind of telling you some things.
Right. But yeah, six teams played two QBs last year, more than two QBs. One of them being the Brownies. The other one,
Well, Brownies didn't have a choice.
was Raiders. I would love a Mike White type. I'm going to give you a name from 2 years ago who did come out of a Division II school that went to the Michigan Panthers their inaugural season and won them one of their two games they won. Eric Barriere, Eastern Washington University. That kid, I watched him in college. Because I used to watch Division II football because of a certain couple of friends that I have that was from Montana, the Cook brothers, Quinn Cook and Brennan Cook. They turned me on to him, and that kid was electric. There was just something about him. He had that it factor. You know what I mean? Hey, James
So,
Rizzo, I've heard you talk about this kid before, but he had
so
a in-air
at the
completion.
beginning,
Go ahead.
just real quick. Um, this when the 2023 NFL season started, there was 12 teams with 3 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster. 12.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the Browns went through 5 quarterbacks. Who else went
Well,
through
that
3
was
quarterbacks?
injury
Oh,
related,
the
though.
Jets. I understand, but he's asking who had them more than 2 QB start that played them. You know what I'm saying? Who else played more than that? The Jets. I think the Broncos did too, because after they benched Russell, they went through 2 starting quarterbacks, so that's 3 there.
The Jets, the
The Raiders,
the
because
Jets, the Broncos, the Raiders. Yeah, because Conley started some, and then they had the other dude. What was his name?
Garoppolo.
Wasn't it Garoppolo? Yeah, Garoppolo, Conley. Then let's see. Didn't have anything for San Francisco. Nothing for LA. Well, actually, LA did have to start because remember Stafford was out a couple of games, so they had brought in. Uh, who was the guy that they brought? Didn't they bring in? Didn't they have the guy that started in Georgia? Sten, whatever his name is,
Oh, they
Stenford,
had to
whatever.
fire him, the guy that started at Georgia. Didn't you remember that? They had to get rid of him because he had a drinking problem. Atlanta did only do 2. They did Tyler Huntley and Ritter, if I remember right. Or Heineke, excuse me, Tyler Heineke. No, there was another one that started 3. Oh, the Texans, because when Stroud got hurt, they tried out Davis Mills and he bombed out again, and then they went to their 3rd string.
Yeah.
They started 3.
Well, the
But
Rams have Jimmy Garoppolo now. That's a damn
Vi-
shame.
the Vikings
I
started
forgot
3.
about that.
Cousins, uh, Dobbs, and Mullins.
Yeah, they still got Stenson Bennett. They got a
Yeah,
whole bunch of
I heard.
quarterbacks. They got
I heard
Dresser
they
Wynn.
got a whole bunch of nobodies and Matt Stafford.
Well, they got Garoppolo.
Oh, they
They
picked up
don't call him
Garoppolo.
nobody. Yes, they do. They did. No, it wasn't drinking. It was a mental health issues that he was
Oh,
having. That's why he had stepped away from football last year. So that means that whoever's because I know he was. I know that Stafford had dropped out a couple of games. Had a couple of games he had to sit.
God, gonna be ungodly hot again tomorrow.
Ungodly hot. Let's see.
Yep, the
Go to the
Rams
next.
grabbed porn star Jimmy. So now he's back in the California coast, getting his tan and going to the beach and getting the babes. Well, guys, I think I am going to call it a night now.
Yeah,
It's getting
I'm
late.
on that too.
So try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. And I'm feeling froggy tonight. You know what I haven't done in a long, long time, and Pastrilla has not had the thrill of hearing it.
Uh-oh.
It's time for Gridiron Heroes. Forward
Okay.
down the field, a charging team that will not yield. And when the blue and silver wave, stand and cheer the brave. Rah, 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 go hard, win this game. With honor you will keep your fame. Down the field and gain a Lions victory. Go
Go Lions.
Lions! Thanks for watching, everybody. It was a blast. Have a great evening, and I'll see you guys Monday at noon